Hello, welcome to Blue Harvest Toys. In recent videos I've been talking a lot about Corgi, and today's video is going to be carrying that on, sort of. You might be forgiven for thinking that Mighty Matchbox had the miniature market sewn up during the 1960s. Leslie's tiny toys were seemingly everywhere. The quality improved year on year, and the range, that of its famous 1 to 75, continued to expand as time rolled on. However, there was rivals. Ben Bross, 1951 to 1965, introduced its Mighty Midgets early on in 1956, while it would be a full decade before Lone Star sought to chip away at Leslie's empire with its impy vehicles. Neither manufacturer's end product was as well executed as all-conquering Leslie though, but even this manufacturer had to up its game when the brazen Hot Wheels from Mattel sped across the Atlantic and arrived on our toy shelves in 1968. Thus, any constructor thinking of entering the pocket money toy market needed a cunning ploy if it was to make headway. For this, Corgi, my toy, was ideally placed of course, having already produced plenty of large-scale models. Moreover, it was well versed in competition, having been battled with Dinky for some years, and with its Husky range, it took the fight straight to Matchbox. The year 1964 saw the release of the first Husky toys, and looking back it was a bold move to take on the market leader, but Corgi's boardroom boys had done their homework, clearly imitating the likes of Matchbox and Bross et al. With models inside boxes would be making life difficult, and simply churning out more die-cast miniatures was hardly going to set the Thames ablaze. Different thinking led to the idea of the blister mounted onto a card. At a stroke, this differentiated Husky from anyone else in the marketplace, and one can only speculate whether this approach was adopted by Mattel a couple of years later. The packaging was probably cheaper than the traditional card box, and at a bonus, the back of the card allowed a range of models to be seen, which was surely an incentive for any youngster. Above all this though, with the fact that the model could be viewed in situ, and when these cards were suspended from the racks, they created a colourful display that was hard to ignore. Thanks to a sale deal with the good old Woolworths, the shop where any child could wander without having actually to purchase anything, toy shops at the time were a different kettle of fish. Husky toys had maximum exposure, in all sense of the word. Cost efficiency probably lay at the heart of Corgi's corporate thinking when it came to Husky. For starters, the models were lighter than those of his rivals, these being down to the greater use of plastic in the construction. In this respect, the chassis, interior and wheels initially were all plastic. However, to effectively compete, Husky toys had to tool up working parts on its range, thus the potential purchaser was treated to opening boot or bonnet, opening or sliding doors and other moving elements. Working suspension was also an absolute must, since Leslie had started to equip some cars with this feature. In terms of range and content, Husky trod a fairly safe path, although it gave more than a passing nod towards foreign vehicle manufacturers, since the deal with Woolworths extended to the US and Canada. Thus, like Matchbox, American cars appeared, Cadillac Eldorado, Studebaker, Wagonaire, Buick Electra and Oldsmobile Starfire, to name just four. The sort of thing that would have been rarely, if ever, glimpsed on the roads of these shores. Indeed, sales abroad could not be overlooked, and when Lord Chandos famously mentioned export or die in a speech in the 1960s, this could well have served as a mantra for Corgi. Husky was also keen to exploit a casting. By simply swapping out colour schemes and loads, it produced a Guy Warrior truck in two guises, for example. The same chassis served as a tanker base for two variants, milk or petrol, while an ERF casting helped add a fire tender, a fire truck and a cement mixer to the proceedings. This multiplicity of models from a single source was obviously cost effective and probably went unnoticed by the youthful purchaser. As for European sourced ideas, Husky made extensive use of Volkswagen chassis, coming up with 5 basic models, and cars from Mercedes, Lancia, Citroën, Volvo, Porsche and Ferrari could be all catered for in due course. For homegrown enthusiasts, the Jaguar E-Type couldn't fail, while a Mark 10 Jaguar looked the part. This could be bought in a chrome gold finish, although extensive handling didn't help matters, a yellow base colour wearing through in due course. Corgi did though try to make some of the offerings really stand out, Take the Ford Thames TV van, which came with a separate aerial and a ladder, and opening rear doors. Or the VW T1 luggage elevator, which actually worked and came with a load. Whether you find an intact rubber belt all these decades is a moot point though. To encourage sales, blister packed figures and a garage block were amongst the accessories available. It wasn't all plain sailing for Corgi though. The model's lightness meant that they did not stand up to the wear and tear of the school playground, as well as their arrival. A key factor, if you recall, that these were, at bottom, toys for children. Moreover, many examples would be scratched or even damaged in the initial opening of the blister packaging, and rare would have been the child who returned the packaging upon emptying out the model. Storage thus posed a problem for any child keen to keep his or her models looking their best. Add to this the march of time. By 1969-1970, the contract with Wolves has expired, and Hot Wheels are shaping the future for those who played on the carpet. Corgi dropped the Husky moniker, and out came Whiz Wheels. But that's a story for another time. 50 years on, collecting these models is difficult, and so few have survived within their blisters. Indeed, I know of one die-cast dealer who stopped offering them simply because he could not find enough stock. Strangely, for a UK manufactured toy, the US and Canada seem to now be the best hunting grounds. That export drive must have been prodigious. But they are about, at least any enthusiast doesn't have to agonise over tyre treads or colour or casting variations to the extent of the Lesney output. So that has to be a bonus, at least in my book. So a quick history of Lesney's Husky models there. They did of course go on to be Corgi Juniors, but I'll talk about that in future videos. So thank you for watching, I hope you really enjoyed it, and until the next time, may the toys be with you.
Bye!